Are we going to start this episode by crying? Because I feel like I can cry right away. Let's talk about you. Hi, Jacy.
Hi.
I'm excited about today.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
I am so thankful you're here. I love Jacy. If you read my second book, I Can Fix This, and Other Lies I Told Myself While Parenting My Struggling Child. That's a really long title. You know that my book was actually dedicated to Jacy. Are we going to start this episode by crying? Because I feel like I can cry right away. I have told, well, anybody that knows our story has heard from me that I feel like you are the reason that Luca, my oldest son, who was struggling with mental health, for those of you that don't know, the reason he's still here. I really don't know if he'd still be alive if it wasn't for you. And I also definitely know that you're the reason that I have a good relationship with him, because I was screwing up left and right, and I learned a lot from you. He learned a lot from you. So I'm just really grateful for everything you've already done for Luca, for me, for our family. And then also so grateful you're willing to be here and talk so that all the listeners can hear directly from you. So we're actually going to do a few episodes with you. I feel like you should have your own podcast, frankly. Somebody give this woman a podcast and a book deal ASAP. But I really want people to hear your story because it's so full of hope and it's so real. And there are so many families who are struggling. There are so many people who are in the same shoes you've been. There are so many people who are trying to support a kid who is in the same shoes you're in, or maybe a kid is listening to this who will be able to relate to your story and doesn't have a supportive family and just needs some hope. So I just realized I didn't even tell you who Jacy is. She's not some random person. The reason Jacy had such an impact on my family is Jacy led the support groups that Luca and I started attending after he was released from the psychiatric hospital, and then he was in a residential treatment center. And at the treatment center, they told us that he really needed more support. So he continued going to therapy, and that was helpful. And he continued taking medication, and it's not for everyone, but for him, it was helpful. And we joined the support groups. And I gotta say, I think therapy is so essential. I talk about therapy a lot. I think every human should be in therapy. I wish it was free for everybody. I think some people definitely need medication, and that's great. But there's something so powerful about support groups because all of a sudden you just don't feel alone. And I know for Luca, he felt alone. He felt like he was weird and abnormal. And then I also felt isolated I don't have friends who are going through this. I don't have close friends whose families are dealing with this. And just showing up to these groups and going, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. And they're going through that too. And their kid is doing this too. And this parent is also clueless. I'm not just the only, it's just all so healing. So that's who Jacy is. She led these groups. She still leads groups. She has her own organization. You got to plug all that stuff. And you're just doing incredible work. So let's talk about you.
Okay, but before we do that, I just want to say thank you, but it's not anything that I could have done to help you or Luca if first you guys didn't trust me. That's huge. You guys, you before you could even trust me, you had to make the phone calls to find a place to go to. Like even just walking through that door or picking up that phone is huge. And it's a huge step that a lot of people are either afraid or embarrassed or whatever the story is, that feels valid. And you have to walk through that. And that's scary for parents.
I love that you said that because that's a really big thing is so many people don't make the first step.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, and this is probably more for the next episode we'll do with you about support groups, but since we're already on the topic, I'm going to be honest, there was a part of me. So Luca basically went every Monday and Wednesday night, 3-hour sessions. And then with a bunch of teens, it was just kids. And then every Saturday morning, at the time, I don't know what the schedule is now, it was 3 hours and the families came with the kids. And I do remember at that time, I was on a national tour. My first book was about to come out. Like my videos were doing well on social media. There were eyes on me. And I remember having that stupid ego moment of, if I show up to this group and anybody else recognizes who I am, like, what are they going to think about my family? Are they going to talk about my family? And I think we all have some version of that, even if you're not quote unquote in the public eye.
Well, I have other people who are therapists, who are police, who are doctors,
There you
who
go.
are, and they have the exact same, how can I go to this group?
Yeah. Or even just, what if I show up and
someone recognizes
me from our neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just another reminder, and I say this a lot on this podcast and in my videos, we got to put all that crap aside because none of that should be of any importance. The only important thing is our child, their well-being, our strength as a family, healing, none of that other, the whole what will people think or who will see me.
Support, not stigma.
Yes, we got to get rid of that, and your child is worth that. So make the phone call. Okay, let's get into your story. You have one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard. I don't even know where to start. Do you have a place you want to start? I know that you felt depression at a very young age. I think you said you were 6.
My first suicide attempt.
First suicide attempt at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, this is the stuff a lot of people don't realize. They think that a young child would never even have that cross their mind.
And I've worked with tons of students who felt the same at that age.
Yeah.
I've worked with other people, 6 years old, 8, 9, 10, 11. A lot of people, parents don't realize how young we feel our feelings big and don't have the words to articulate, the support. We don't know how to do that. That's kind of the parents' job to get the support in place. But how do you if we're hiding it from you?
Yeah. And I do think the assumption is, well, a kid wouldn't even have this thought till they're a teenager or later. And this is really important for parents to know. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and your family life.
I grew up in, I don't know if it's relevant, but I grew up in Calabasas, and my parents, they came from families that didn't live anywhere nearby. So it was just us, the 3 of us out here. And I will say in retrospect, I think being around family is important if you can be, if you have the family and it makes sense to be around them. So they worked a lot, and I was home alone a lot. So what it looked like in elementary school was I would wake up and they would already be gone. And I would walk to the bus and go to school. And then I'd come home from the bus and I'd be alone. So I would call and check in with my parents that, homework was done. I would make my own food, like everything. Like I basically lived alone. And then like I did all the house stuff because they were, whether it was laundry or dishes, like I made sure everything was done. And I would go to sleep and they wouldn't be home from work yet.
Wow.
And that was Monday through Friday, all through elementary.
And then when they were home, there was a lot of abuse.
Yeah. It was character building.
Oh, that's what they called it. Okay.
It was because, my dad always had reasons to be upset. So if I didn't have my shoelaces tied or if I wasn't in bed on time, which I do agree with him that bedtime is important. And I have had a lot of issues that I had to work through, obviously. Like, for example, my dad believed I should be in bed at a certain time, 9 p.m. When you're in elementary school, it's like, hey, go to bed. Yeah. My mom thought, what's the big deal? Like if we're watching a movie and it's going to be over at 9:30 and then she gets ready for bed and she's asleep by 10, like what's the big deal? Well, I can say that being on the same page, co-parenting, very important. Right. I don't think it would have mattered if I was in bed at 10 or 9, but for them to not be on the same page was important. Yeah. So he would come in and I wouldn't be in bed. And that's where he, instead of saying, okay, well, now the consequences, you're going to be tired at school tomorrow, you're not going to feel good, or whatever natural consequences there could have been, he would get violent. So
even the shoelaces, I remember you telling me, can you share that story? Because it's like that he would get so upset about.
Yeah. If my shoelace was untied as a kid, he would get abusive. And it was not just physical, it was the things that stick with you, like mental and emotional. He would say things like, how's anyone ever going to love you? You can't even keep your shoes tied.
And how old are you at this age?
Look 6.
Wow.
Right? I used to beg my grandparents for Velcro shoes for Christmas so I wouldn't have to deal with that. And
that's so heartbreaking.
I was like
that's just so heartbreaking.
So stressed and anxious about everything, like keeping my shoes tied or everything had to be perfect.
So that you wouldn't upset Dad.
Right. Yeah. I walked on eggshells for sure, making sure that everything was good. Everything was okay.
And he also abused your mom.
Yeah. And he used us at each other. Like if my mom did something wrong, if he punished me, that was more effective than hurting her sometimes. So there would be times, I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
But like I've later found out from my mom that there were times where like he used to lock me out of the house and stuff like that. And when you're like 2 and you wander around the neighborhood for 30 minutes, not knowing, that's forever. You don't know. When he says, that's it. You don't live here anymore. Get out. And you're
and this is when you're a little kid.
Yeah. And he used to have these like lessons, like he would drive me to when I wouldn't do homework, which was like very never.
Yeah.
But like something would be wrong on my homework, something like that. He would drive me to places like I'm just gonna be honest, he would drive me to like Home Depot in Van Nuys, and there would be a bunch of people on the corner looking for jobs, and he would have me. They didn't do their homework. They're looking for jobs on the side of the road because they didn't finish school. Get out, go stand with them and see. You don't want to do. And then he would drive around the block. But when you're 5, 6, that's a long. So I'd be looking for work, thinking like this is my life now.
And he would just drive off for a little bit. To scare
he would leave, and and he was probably nearby watching. I don't know if he went and got a drink and came, but I don't know what he was doing or if he was safely watching me. But he would come back, and even 10 minutes is a long time when you're in a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know realistically how long I would be there, but he would come back and say, "You ready to do your homework? Are you ready to focus on school?" Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I am. No, I didn't even get hired. So
now growing up that way, like was the physical and mental abuse, but like even watching your mom be
that was hard.
beaten and all that, like as a little girl, is this normal in your mind? Is this like, oh, this is how every family is?
No, because you go to friends' houses and you see what their normal looks like.
You see the dad being kind to the mom. And
I just desperately wanted my dad to have one of those jobs that took him away all the time.
Yeah.
And
then eventually your parents get divorced. Mm-hmm. And your mom gets into another relationship, right?
Yeah.
And how was that?
Well, her first relationship after my dad was like this great guy. Mm-hmm. So it didn't last even a year, right? Because
she wasn't used to great guys. Probably was like,
the cycle did not continue and she wasn't ready to break it. So the guy right after that was way more physically abusive than my dad ever was. My dad was very psychologically abusive.
Yeah.
He would demean you and tell you how worthless you were for 2-3 hours in a rant that he just was like on a loop with from his mental health.
And was he the one that, I can't remember if it was your dad or stepdad, that would actually use the Bible to like...
That was my stepdad. He would have verses that he would quote of the lesson that he was teaching you.
Gosh.
And he was very physically abusive. He was very scary because my dad would escalate after hours of telling you, why no one was going to love you. He would then get physical, and it would that would be the escalation. And then it would be, look what you made me do. And then once you apologize, like then we can move on with the day and everything would be fine. And then we'd be like, almost like on a roller coaster of like laughing and everything's good. And my stepdad was like the opposite. He would physically abuse you for literally 2 hours.
And did your mom know I know he was physically abusing her as well. Did she know he was physically abusing you?
No, but he was physically abusing her mostly.
Okay.
Which for I didn't know this until I was older, but it's child abuse just to watch your being a witness or a recipient. It's sometimes worse. Just like my dad would punish my mom by hurting me. Yeah. It was very much a punishment to watch him hurt my mom and not being able, like that, you can't do anything about it feeling.
Yeah. And you said how your mom sometimes when she said goodnight,
she said goodbye every night, not good night.
Because she thought that.
Well, he had a lot of guns. My dad's not a gun guy.
Yeah.
And he was very much so. He had a lot of
The stepdad was.
Yeah, my stepdad had a lot of guns. So she was always like, if you hear a bang in the middle of the night, you go out the window, because if he ever kills me, he's coming for you.
And this was just like your
good night.
Yeah, this was your reality.
Yeah. We said goodbye to each other every night for the last 2 years before I called the police and had him arrested.
Now, not to like keep dwelling on this abuse, but it's just like so jarring, and unfortunately is happening in so many families that we don't even realize right now. But like the physical abuse was really bad. And I don't know if it was your stepdad or dad, it doesn't matter. But like, I remember you telling me you were like slammed into a doorknob or something. And do you want to tell that story? Like
just my spine.
just my spine.
I popped out and scared my dad, and my dad does not like to be scared. So he grabbed me and he pushed me up against the wall. Like he slammed me up against the wall, and the doorknob, it was the front door. So it was like one of those, and it just, like I was a contraction, like it got me, like the perfect spot. And because of the bruising and everything, it was like, you can't, going to the hospitals when you're at fault as a parent. Sometimes you don't take your kid to the hospital. And I didn't have insurance, so we never.
Even the way you talk about it is so, it makes me sad because it's so normal to you. Like, I know you know that it was wrong. I know that you now
and I don't want to look like I'm minimizing it, but I've done the work to not cry about it.
But even just like, oh yeah, it was my spine. Like if I was telling that story, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just, the reason I bring that up is that was your normal, unfortunately. Like that was day in and day out normal life, was either I'm going to get abused or my mother's going to get abused. Even your grandmother's suicide was like...
He blamed it on me but I'm sure he did that to everyone. Like I'm not unique in that. I'm sure everyone got the rap.
Young daughter. How old were you when she died?
So she died December 19th, 94. January 22nd, 95, I turned 10.
So you were 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I think this detail is just so jarring. So tell us how she
hung herself on my swing. And there was next to my cousin's swings and stuff like that. So he said there was no suicide note. She chose your swing. It was a message to you. Like, but that's his own guilt. That's
right.
And at 10, when he told me that, I knew at 10, I remember rolling my eyes while he was drunk telling me that. And I just remember being like, you can't handle this.
Yeah.
Don't put it on me. Like, I didn't say that, but I had been in therapy, plug therapy, since I was 6, because school mandated me. Yeah. School mandated me be in therapy since I was 6.
Okay. Tell us.
I had the tools. To better than my father did at his age at 10 to know this isn't on me.
Tell us the first time you tried drugs.
I was 11. My aunt had moved in. My mom had finally moved my dad out, and she moved her sister in, and her sister, everyone knew, was a junkie, and sometimes my mom would take her to the methadone clinic and stuff like that. And so my aunt had a sugar daddy, and my mom was like, okay, he can help pay our rent, so she'll move in here to one of the bedrooms. And then, because my mom picked up a second job trying to keep us afloat, and so we could keep our place in Calabasas, so she's working 2 jobs. My aunt will be able to watch me, pick me up from school, like basically a live-in babysitter for my mom, and her stepdad, her sugar daddy will help pay bills. So it was like a win-win all around, except that that this person is a junkie and she's going to be watching your child.
Wow.
Except for that detail, it was flawless.
Yeah. A tiny little detail.
And so so very quickly, and even before she moved in, like every time we saw her, like it was no secret that she used and that she, but it became very normal. Like we'd all be like, my mom, her and I would be in the living room watching a TV, and she would just be doing heroin. Like it was just normal. It was like as if someone sparked a cigarette. Like the kids know you shouldn't do that, but it's like
except it's normal. Not a cigarette, it's heroin.
Yeah. But it was very normal.
Tell me your first time. You're 11. Are you alone with your aunt? Is your mom there?
So her and I were home alone, which happened all the time.
Yeah.
And it was actually, so it's called speedballing, where like you do uppers and downers to kind of level yourself. So she was doing speed and heroin, but she did. So she offered it to me, and
how, like, what's that conversation like? Hey, want to try it?
no,
Like,
so
you're 11. I'm thinking of my kids when they were 11.
But that's from your experience. Her experience in
Exactly.
life was she was very abused by her dad,
Mm-hmm.
and she was abandoned by her mom. So she was a half sister to my mom, and she was raised by this really abusive man. And her solution to dealing with her childhood trauma was heroin. And here my dad was out of the house, and her and I bonded with how messed up these dads were and how unfair life was. And she was not an adult role model that was saying, here's how you work through that. She was in a different way saying, here's how you work through that.
So
she offered me her solution.
I was going to say, in her mind as a drug addict, she was helping you.
100%.
She was like, I'm going to give you a remedy, a way to escape the abuse and all that mentally. Mm-hmm. Here, just be high. Mm-hmm. So she was doing you a favor in her mind.
I do believe that I probably would have killed myself without that.
Wow.
I do believe, and I've heard it from other people too.
Yeah.
When you don't have the tools yet, and you don't know what to do with all these feelings and these memories and all these things, and you're supposed to focus on math and
which
hormones,
is such an important topic. I think I don't know if we have time to touch on it as much as I want to in this episode. Please remind me if I forget when we do the other episode where we talk about
the pressure that we put on our kids
and what parents need to hear. I think it's important for parents to know the reason mental health is so important is because if we don't teach them to handle it find healthy coping mechanisms. You don't want your kid to get to a point where the only thing keeping them alive, keeping them from
is unhealthy, suicide. Whether it's self-harm or drugs or whatever it is.
Yes. You, at 11, you start heroin.
Mm-hmm. Like the first time I used it,
did you do anything beforehand? Like, did you do, like, you hear most kids start with marijuana.
No,
like you went straight to heroin.
My dad gave the example of what not to do. I was never going to be like him. I was never going to do drugs. I was never going to drink. I don't want to be like that guy.
But now,
I wanted to not feel the way I was feeling.
Yeah. You didn't want to feel all those feelings of depression.
Mm-hmm. And for the first time, I didn't look at substances as him. I looked at him as release, solution.
Yeah.
Like how she was presenting it.
Yes.
You know?
And then was that the start of?
From that day on, that was it. It was good to go. I quickly resolved to, this is my life now. This is.
So what does school look like at this age? You're 11 on heroin. What grade are you? 5th grade?
7th grade. I completely failed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like summer school, like there was no shot.
One of the things I think a lot about, again, as a parent who had a child who struggled, a lot of times, when my son was struggling with depression and then he started using to, numb all of his stuff.
Medicate.
Teachers look at these kids as bad kids. They don't see them as hurting kids. They don't see them as kids that need help and support. They see them as bad kids who need a consequence and punishment. How were you looked at in school? Like,
it was different then. Nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed you were on heroin?
Nobody. Not one person. But also,
I can't tell if that's worse because it's like no one's even noticing that this kid is obviously.
Well, so
go ahead.
I was good. Aside from my grades falling, I was polite. I asked teachers how they were doing. I either fell through the cracks and wasn't noticed, or I was like they weren't punishing me because I said hi. Like either way, depending on the teacher,
you weren't causing them problems,
right?
So right.
Which
that almost makes me more sad somehow because I just want to hug little Jacy. Like I'm just thinking about this kid who's like so sweet and polite and nice, and again, like I hope that if nothing else, if someone's listening to this and they've just had no experience with any of this, that it'll just open their eyes to like these kids. Like,
well, I bring it up too because a lot of times, like, oh, the negative attention is yes, absolutely, but a lot of times we overachieve or we're perfectionists or we're people pleaser to don't look here.
Yes,
and that's something that I learned before I was put in therapy at 6 of like, hey, if they're asking questions, like you want to do this on the outside so no one knows what's going on the inside. And they meant it literally in the home, but it also works out emotionally. If it looks good, if you're presenting, if you show up with dirty clothes or ripped, then they're going to ask questions. If you show up and you're presentable and you
didn't want anybody to ask what's going on at home or how your parents are treating you or who's giving you drugs or anything.
And kids learn that quick.
Yeah.
That's not something that you have to be taught.
Well, and that's another important point, because I think if you ask most people, hey, what is a kid who's on drugs? How does a kid on drugs behave?
Or look like?
Yes, look like. They're going to mention bad behavior and he's rude to teachers. And they're not going to be like, oh, sweet little girl, right? That's not going to be their first thought.
Right.
So, okay. There's so much in your childhood.
So 14 through 18, my mom was with that really abusive stepdad. And in that timeline, at one point, I was 17, he broke her femur. It was in a full leg cast. When it was taken off, 4 days later, she fell in the kitchen. He and her were in the kitchen. She said she fell, but I didn't see it.
It was him. Yeah.
She broke it again. It was in a cast again.
Jeez.
During that time, my mom felt it was safer for me to not be around him because he was extremely violent at that time. And so she would literally drop me off at like a well-known crack house where I could go use and not feel my feelings, but also she literally felt like it was safer for me there.
So
and
your mom...
physically, probably.
And I don't want to put blame on anyone because...
with the tools she was given because of her abusive
Instead
childhood.
of getting rid of the a-hole, even running away with you, doing anything, and I get that she had her own things that she needed to work through, and obviously, right? There's a lot going on there. She thought, no, the best thing is I'm going to drop my 17-year-old daughter at a crack house.
Well, she couldn't leave him. She didn't have the tools. But even like before that, like with my dad has never... to my knowledge, my dad has never sexually molested me, right? My dad has never sexually touched me. Other people have, not him. But when I was little, because of my mom's trauma, which it's so big for parents to work out their stuff before they have children or before they're in relationships in general.
Yep.
But my mom did not work on her childhood trauma. So she would project that. So my dad would, I assume, be a normal dad and want to give bath time. And my mom would think that was weird, that he was going to molest me, right? My dad would, I'm assuming this is normal. He would tuck me in at bedtime and say goodnight. And like a good dad. But my mom would come in after and say, did he touch you? Did he?
Wow.
So it was every night when he was saying goodnight, I'm like, is this the night? Is this? So like when he was tucking me in, so literally, I'm always anxious. I'm always ready. I'm waiting for it. Not because he did anything, but my mom's lack of her processing caused me to, I always felt like, so when sexual abuse actually started happening in my life, it was like, oh, finally this is, like, I actually relaxed.
Wow.
Because it was like,
this is killing me. This is like, so as a little girl, it was introduced to you as this is something that's going to happen
100%.
Any second. Your dad's going to do it. And you're just like on edge. So you're not trusting your dad. You have this fear. I mean, obviously, and he was abusive. His behavior
validated like it is going to happen.
Yes, because he can be cruel. So this is the next step that I'm waiting for.
And so my mom always said, because of her childhood experiences, that if a man wants to have his way with you, he will. Do you want to get raped or do you want to get raped and beaten? So when I was a teenage girl, I would get in this situation where I look back now and I think, oh, they were probably just being, hey, let's try this. And I would be like, oh, so I would go into this freeze response.
Yeah.
And things would happen that I think were probably normal teenage experiences. But because my mom had prepared me for this, I would go, well, I don't want to be raped. So I would just let things happen.
Wow. So you're going to be raped anyway. You might as well just take it because otherwise you're going to be raped and beaten. That was the lesson.
from early. So I
Wow.
think that, like, I definitely think that a lot of my sexual promiscuity as a teenager, I feel like some of that, had I have just been like, stop,
Yeah,
no,
like,
like
no.
what, I think not all of them, but most of them would have been like, okay, I get
Yeah.
it. Like they would have snapped out
Well, you
of
just assume a man is going to rape you.
right. So I would just kind of lay there and be like, oh my God, let's get it over with.
But even, oh my God, this is so heartbreaking. But even with, you were sexually molested in your mind, because this was already, brainwashed into you, you just were like, this, I don't have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
Like I might as well not even complain about it, not even try to stop it, not tell anybody, because at least I'm not being beaten while I'm being sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
That
so, and I disclose that because there's so many things, hopefully not that specifically, but there's so many things that we don't realize that we're telling our kid. My mom, that was helping. Yeah, my mom used to talk about the rape van, and so I like.
What's the rape van?
Well, vans.
Oh, like if you see a van.
If you see a van, don't go, like, don't park next to the van. Don't, like, like if you're walking to your car in the parking lot, like, just be mindful of the rape van. Like, that was just an obvious lesson that it's weird you don't know that, Kristina. Like, as a woman, you should know about the rape van.
Wow.
And so as a
but
little
even
girl,
framing it that way to a little kid, rape van. Like,
so as a little girl, when I would go to friends' houses, and you know how the families take the kid to dinner or the movies or whatever, I'd be like, you're not going to park next to the rape van, are you? Oh, and I would see these families could be like, what is this kid?
You're 6 years old. What are you talking about?
So I learned, like, I would feel sorry. Like, my friends are going to grow up not knowing about the rape van. Like, they're going to be, my friends are going to get raped because their moms aren't telling them about the van.
Tell me about ending up basically being held against your will with your dad's drug dealer.
I was supposed to spend the summer with my dad, and 2 days before my flight, I was living in Virginia with my mom and stepdad at the time. I was supposed to go see my dad in the summer. I missed California. I missed all my friends.
Yeah.
And he, 2 days before, said, I'm in a really bad place. And I didn't know he meant, I'm strung out on meth, do not come see me.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm in a really bad place. I don't think you should come visit. I was like, this is bull. I want to see my friends. I miss LA. I'm stuck here in Virginia. And so I got on that plane and we spent a couple days together. And then I was...
you ended up...
I was with his meth dealer and the rest of the time.
And you're with... Your dad's obviously not there with you.
No.
Yeah.
I did hear him at one point come in and re-up, and that broke my spirit.
Because did you think he was coming to get you?
When I heard his voice.
And then he just got his drugs and left.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So that changed my mentality a bit while I was in there. There was some, like, I don't want to say hope, but there was some, like, I'm going to get out of this, and I kind of gave up after that.
So how old were you at the time?
15, 16.
And you are basically held by this man, and like you said, you're sodomized, and your dad comes and
gets more drugs and leaves.
So you get your hopes up, you hear his voice, he leaves. And at that point, like, what changed for you? Were you just like...
Nothing mattered. Like, I just checked out and I was just empty.
Like, all hope left.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Like, I don't even know if I felt it after that.
I know so many details that we're not even gonna have time to get into today about your story, and I think that one gets me the most, where I could bawl my eyes out of just like picturing this teenage girl. Like, being a teenager is hard as is, even if your life is quote unquote as perfect as possible. You're in the worst situation. You're being abused. You're being held against your will. Your mom and dad are not there. You hear his voice, and just that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get out of this. Oh my gosh. And then, I love you so much. I just want you to know I love you so much. Okay, and then eventually basically escaped.
Yeah, and when I
can't remember, you stole his credit card number?
His. There was some woman, and I used it to... I don't know if I want to incriminate myself. I don't know if there's like a statute of limitation on the credit card, but yeah.
Well, you know what? I applaud that kind of crime, first of all, to get out of there. But the point being, we don't have to get into details. You were bravely able to escape.
So I got myself to Virginia.
Yeah.
And I called my mom from the airport. I hadn't talked to her in 3.5 months. And I said, come pick me up. I'm at the airport. She was like, oh, your dad said you ran away. There was, I mean, in her defense, I was in another state. What could she have done? But there was no police file report of missing person.
Wow.
Anyway, so she came and she walked right by me in the airport. She didn't recognize me because I was in 3.5 months. That's like what daily meth and abuse looks like.
Because he kept you drugged to be able to control you.
Without being too detailed, the louder I screamed, the more meth I got. So it was I don't know, to be honest, if it was me doing it to get more drugs to not feel, or if it was him shutting me. I think it was a mix. I don't know how to answer that.
The louder you screamed, the more meth they gave you. Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. I want to be honest, but...
Yeah, and she didn't recognize you.
Yeah, not just because I was so gaunt, but also self-harm in the sense of like I would hurt myself in other areas during, so I didn't feel things. So
while he was abusing you.
Yeah. Ugh. So my arms and stuff like that were all discolored.
So, all right. Eventually, you get arrested.
Mm-hmm. 2 more years after that, I continued 2-3 years after that. I continued to use and used at that situation. Because I felt like I had reasons to use, but it changed after that. Like then I wasn't just using because like, oh, my grandmother died or my dad was now it's like, look what happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be using too.
Yeah.
And
well, I was gonna say, just to go back, like when you were talking about, you know, being held, and you were like, I don't know if he was always giving meth or if I wanted to take it. Like, I would want to be drugged if I was being sodomized. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it felt a lot of.
Yeah, I mean that's what
guilt or whatever about that.
So you get arrested.
So during the time that I was with him, my 9/11 happened.
While you were with the meth dealer.
Yeah. So my brain for survival said, I'm never talking about this again. And I went and when my mom picked me up and she saw me, oh my God, what happened? I said, I never want to talk about this. She said, okay, come on. And we went home.
So you didn't even go home and tell her and go,
I
need help. I need therapy.
Nothing.
Okay.
But the world, or if you believe in a higher power, the whole world. Where were you on 9/11? Never forget. 9/11.
Oh my gosh.
Forget. My whole life for 3 years.
Even now people say, where were you on 9/11?
But I purposefully didn't tell anyone, and everyone would be like, where were I don't remember. Why is everyone cute?
I never knew this detail, and I feel like I know your whole story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was something that I was like, really? Really? Never forget?
This is
like,
the one
I never
date
want to
everyone's
remember.
Gonna ask for the, I mean, I feel like it's
still
been
say
so
that.
many years and people still ask me, or I'll ask somebody, yeah, where were you on 9/11?
Yeah, never
and
forget.
For you, it was like the worst time.
And I couldn't be honest. I couldn't tell anyone. To this day, I can't be like, oh, actually, I was being sodomized in a meth. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, that's a long time ago. Like, I still like don't have the way to say it. Gosh. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, yeah. But,
okay, so getting arrested was actually ended up being the best thing for you.
Yes, which is why it's so frustrating when parents or police or teachers or anything like do the kid a favor and
quote unquote.
Like
by making sure they don't get arrested.
Yeah.
You needed that as a
and as a minor, you know, I'd rather my teens learn the lesson now when it's a slap on the wrist versus, you know, not learning it and at 19 making the same mistake and it having way more consequences.
Or learning it later when they already have kids.
Yeah.
And
like my dad. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit how getting arrested like put you on a path of healing and where you are now.
Okay, so getting arrested was pivotal because I was incapable of making the changes in my life that I needed. And more importantly, at that point in my life, I wanted. So there's a difference between a kid whose parents want them to change and a kid that really wants to. They just don't know how. I know Luca was in that position.
Yeah.
I know I was, not in the beginning, but eventually got to a place where it's like, I actually don't want to be living like this.
Yeah.
And I can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what changes to make. And I needed to be arrested because I could not make the changes I needed. And when I had that physical forced sobriety, I was able to get the clarity to go, okay, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
You know, I could in a stupor think of something and not follow through, or, 2 days sober, think of something, but like to actually have the forced time away from it, to have the ability to make a plan, take action on that plan, get support in place to help me carry out that plan.
Yeah.
Everything changed.
When did, like, I think you were 19 when you
I
sober?
turned 19 in January and I got sober March 17th, St. Patrick's Day.
What would you say was the biggest thing that helped you in your healing journey? Was it the, group meetings, support groups? Was it therapy? What?
That's a hard thing to say. I know that there's do I thank God for introducing me to the support groups, or do I thank the support groups for introducing me to God or reconnecting me?
Yeah. Faith played a big part.
Faith played a huge part. And also being of service to other people, getting outside of yourself. That's a huge thing for, I think, anyone with any issues.
Yeah.
Is to fuel like, we don't have a purpose. We're literally living to either not feel and avoid feeling, or to, whether it's anxiety, depression, or drug, like, it doesn't really matter what the core issue is. So many of us we're just like trying to get by, trying to get through the day, and that's not a way to live. No wonder I don't want to live. Right. No wonder I'm depressed. No wonder I'm under. It's like, this is as good as it gets, as opposed to, I have a reason, right? And
have a purpose.
I have something,
And you have really, you are like the first person I think of when I hear anybody talk about like turning your pain into purpose. Because now, and again, the way I met you is you help other kids who are walking through similar things you walked through as a kid. A lot of them actually come from loving families and haven't gone through all the abuse and stuff. But one of the things I love about you is you see hope in every kid you meet, no matter how dire the circumstances. And parent. Yeah.
That's the thing.
And so I guess
if I can forgive and love mine, like,
yeah.
I can help this kid do that with theirs.
By the way, how many years have you been sober now?
22. Yeah.
22 years sober.
Yeah.
So,
which is longer than my students have been alive. It's crazy.
But I just think this is why I think your story is so powerful. And this is why I wanted to go into those very hard to hear, and for you probably hard to talk about details. Because so many times either we're going through something or we know someone who's going through something and it feels hopeless. Like, this person has been through every kind of abuse you can imagine, and no support system, and drugs from a young age, and first attempted suicide at 6 years old, and on and on and on and on. And then that awful trauma you experienced by the meth dealer. And sometimes we're like, how does someone even turn their life around? And you are such an example of going, nope, I'm going to use all of this to help others. I have a purpose now. You're saving lives. Again, like I said, I credit you for my son being alive. And so I hope that gives hope to everybody else. Like you said, be of service.
That's everyone. Elizabeth Smart. Like, there's so many people who go through these traumas and they turn it around, they help others, and their life is purposeful. Yeah. Not just in that way, but in every way it trickles through. It's all perception. Yeah. If I focus on, look what they did to me, look what happened, I am miserable, depressed, I probably have tumors growing inside, and the same thing happens for somebody who goes, wow, look what I lived through. Look what you're going through this here. Like, instead of saying, here's what you need to do, let me get down there with you because I've been there before and I know the way out.
Yeah. In fact, when I dedicated the book to you, I used a quote that is so defines what you've done. I wrote for Jacy, and then I shared a quote by Morgan Harper Nichols. Tell the story of the mountain you climbed. Your words could become a page in someone else's survival guide. I love you so much.
I
We're
love
going to
you.
do more episodes with you. Parents, please tune in because she's going to share the things she's learned from not just her own life story, but supporting other teens, things that parents need to hear, things you've learned that make a big difference with these kids who are struggling. I also want to share one incredible thing about you. So you flunked what?
6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Yes.
And then I dropped out.
And then dropped out. And what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Local high school where you've been played a pivotal part in helping so many troubled teens from that high school, reached out to you and said they wanted to give you an honorary high school diploma. And so how old were you when you got your high school diploma?
40.
At 40 years old, Jacy got her honorary high school diploma.
And I got to walk and the whole thing.
The cap and gown, the whole thing. And it's just the most beautiful thing. And I just it's so inspiring. So anyway, I love you so much. We're going to keep talking. And I can't wait for your book. We don't know what it's called yet because she hasn't written yet, but there's going to be a book. Listen, if you need support, encouragement, anything on a daily basis, we have an app, Hope and Humor Daily. Also, if you ever want to leave a voicemail question for us to play during an episode, sometimes we will do that, 855-912-4175. And if you are enjoying this podcast and find it helpful, rate it, review it. If you hate it, please don't rate it or review it. All right. We love you all. Jacy, thank you for your vulnerability and honesty. And we're going to actually stick around and keep talking, but we'll play it for you in a different episode. Yes.
If I could just say that if it sounds like I'm insensitive about the topics I'm talking about, I just want to say that it's because I've done the work.
Yes.
So
yeah, we're not minimizing any of this.
And you can too.
Yes.
You can do the work as a parent or as a teen and be on the other side of your stuff too.
Yes.
And have an open conversation.
Yes. Two important things on that. One, we're not trying to minimize anything. And if you're going through it now, we are sending you so much love and we understand
And I couldn't have done this without the work.
But also the important point you make of if you can do the work, there is healing and there is hope.
No matter how far down you go, there's always up if you do the work.
Yeah. And if you're looking at I'm going to speak specifically to parents now. If you're looking at your kid who is troubled and you're like, oh my gosh, their whole life is going to be ruined. I'm telling you, Jacy has literally saved lives and your kid is going to do something. I'm just feeling it right now for you. Your kid is going to do something so incredible with their life and you can't even picture it now. And I'm so excited for the day that you go, holy crap, I never saw this coming. This is amazing. Anyway, we're sending you all hope and love and we love you. Bye.